Hello and welcome back on our series on expectations. Our last one, we kind of did like an intro, talking about how our life is like a blank page and we just sign our name on the dotted line. We allow God to fill in the details of our life. We trust Him with what He is going to do along our path. But if that is true of us, then there's quite a few avenues of our life that we have to surrender to Him. It's easy to say, Lord, here's a blank contract, here's my name, I sign it. That action in and of itself is wonderful and it's easy. But then as time goes on, as life goes on, we have expectations of ourselves that sometimes God goes in a different direction. We don't really count the cost. And as Pastor said before, when Jesus said to count the cost, it doesn't mean so that you walk away. Is so that you know that what you are doing is truly submission, is truly becoming a disciple of Jesus Christ, which means following Him no matter what. So today, and I think this is important to start off with, is expectations about greatness. Greatness. Well, what do you mean by greatness? Sony Interactive Entertainment used to have a saying, and it said, expect greatness. Or greatness awaits. We like that word, greatness. But what does that mean? What does that mean for us? Some of us don't want greatness, right? Some of us don't want notoriety or fame or whatever. We'll get into that. But I want to take a very famous passage on this subject, and I hope it's a help to you. In Jeremiah 45, verse 2, it says, "Thus saith the Lord of Israel unto thee, O Baruch." Now, Baruch was the scribe who would write down everything that the prophet Jeremiah was saying. Jeremiah would proclaim the word of God. Baruch would write them down. So all the while, he's following this great prophet and writing down his words. But now God, instead of speaking to Jeremiah, he's speaking to Baruch, the guy writing the words. He's probably like, oh, it's a short little chapter. It's just 5 verses. But again, verse 2, I'll start over. It says, "Thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, unto thee, O Baruch." Oh, you're talking to me now. "Thou didst say, Woe is me now, for the Lord hath added grief to my sorrow. I fainted in my sighing, and I find no rest. Thus shalt thou say unto him, The Lord said thus, Behold, that which I have built will I break down, and that which I have planted I will pluck up, even this whole land." Here it is, verse 5. "And seekest thou great things for thyself? Seek them not. For behold, I will bring evil upon all flesh, saith the Lord. But thy life will I give unto thee for a prey in all places whither thou goest." That key phrase, "Seekest thou great things for thyself? Seek them not." Basically, God is saying, don't seek greatness. The key in that statement is, seekest thou great things for thyself. See, Mr. Baruch had a lot of ambition. He had a lot of plans. He wanted his name to be known. I mean, he was writing for a prophet. Talk about a good gig, right? Like, I'm going to be a scribe for a prophet, which was very prestigious back in those days, except Jeremiah was the weeping prophet. He was not popular. He was not venerated. He was not well received. He didn't have a single convert, and yet he was a faithful servant of the Lord. But Baruch thought he would be, one of those TV evangelists, and instead it's more like the Apostle Paul getting stoned and thrown out of cities and isn't popular with the locals. And he was very disappointed. He said, "Woe is me now," because he's heard the proclamation of the Lord that his land is going to be destroyed. He had plans. He wanted his name to be great. He wanted to pursue and have ambition toward things that would lift him up above his peers. That's basically ambition. Big plans. I got big plans. But how do you have big plans in your country when your country is about to be destroyed and be put into slavery and subjugation and desolation, and you would be removed into another land? Well, quite frankly, that means all his plans were for naught. See, Baruch pursued greatness, and that's a vague term for many people. But basically, it means ambition. It means that you want your name in the spotlight. Now, that can mean many things. Doesn't necessarily mean in Hollywood, not literal spotlights on Broadway, but it could also mean in business, in the ministry, among your peers, in your place of work, on social media, on television, in our country even, in the world if you're that ambitious. But your name is lifted up. You're not a nobody. You're a somebody in the eyes of the world. And a lot of people have expectations that they want to be known and they want to be well known. And the thought of obscurity is terrifying, frankly, that you would live your entire life and work hard and labor and struggle and deal with the pains of this life and then go to be with the Lord, again, in obscurity. No one ever knows who you are. No one remembers your name. No one cares about the impact that you left on earth, or in earthly ways. And some people, that's terrifying. But that's having the wrong perspective. Again, that's having the wrong expectations. Because you have to understand, no matter what kind of life you live, if it is one lived unto the Lord, you are making an eternal impact, whether you realize it or not. Do you realize our pastor got saved because somebody that you don't know, and I don't know, went on a bus route and was a bus captain and hounded Dad to constantly get on the bus, come to church. And that is how he was led to the Lord. Because one man was faithful to go on a bus route in North Carolina that none of us know and was faithful to God. And now we are blessed. I am blessed to have a father like him, and we're all blessed to have a pastor like him because of one man's faithfulness that you don't know. God does great things in obscurity. But see, the world thinks greatness only happens in great big things. But God does not remember in the whirlwind or the earthquake or the volcano. The Bible says when he spoke to Elijah the prophet, he was in the still small voice, the little things, the quiet things. For 40 years, Moses was a shepherd. 40 years! Can you imagine? And yet God was preparing him, he was moving him, and he was blessing him. And for some of you, honestly, the thought of greatness terrifies you. And so you're like, Andy, I'm good with being obscure. I'm good with flying under the radar and no one knowing my name. I'm fine with that. Well, I have news for you. That God may have your name in spotlights. It may be his will. That one day you're accountable for lots of other people. And that lots of other people will look to you and look up to you and rely on you and come to you. And again, that might terrify you, but you have to understand, in the umbrella of God's will, that's the best thing for you because he will equip you. He will strengthen you. Again, going back to Moses, he's like, I'm not an orator. I'm not a popular person. I'm not this great speechcraft, expert. I'm not an amazing public speaker. And the only response that God gave to Moses for his excuses were, who made your mouth? Who made the eyes or the seeing or the blind? Have not I sent thee? In other words, it's not about you, Moses. Yes, you're going to stand before Pharaoh, which is terrifying, by the way. You're going to stand before the most powerful nation in the world and demand something of him. But I've sent you. I've called you. And again, this is the point I'm trying to make with expectations. It's both. Some people have expectations that they want to be great. They want to be known. And other people have expectations that they just want to, they want to fly under the radar. They want to coast through life the path of least resistance. Whereas a lot of people who live their lives that way, and then God used them, and all of a sudden they were very well known. But either way, whatever God's will is for you, it's God's will for you. It is his path for you. And if you cling too tightly to your expectations, I want this, like Baruch, he had big plans, great plans for his life, and they were all completely disappointed because of what was going to happen. But God said that he would protect him. When he said here that I will rend all flesh, blah, 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 he said that, but for your life, he would protect him. He would keep him safe. And that you have great things for yourself, Baruch, but don't seek them. Seek after me because I will lead you and I will protect you. I will guide you. I don't know what your life will be in the years ahead. whether your name is venerated, or people know you, people rely on you, you're very well known, or you slip into obscurity in the world's eyes, I know that God will bless you and he will use you mightily if you only surrender to him. If you take your expectations and lay them at the feet of his son, Jesus Christ, and say, this is what I expect, but honestly, it is whatever you want. I'll probably reference this a lot during our many lessons here in this subject, but this series. But remember when Jesus Christ was in the garden, he said, nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. That is the ultimate expression of a disciple is, listen, I don't want the cross. Jesus Christ said that. If there's any other way than the cross, please do it. He was begging his Father, but he said, nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. That's expectations. That's no matter what my will is or my expectations toward greatness, whether I want to be obscure or I want to be venerated, no matter what my expectations are, it's not my will, but thine be done. If you can understand and submit to this, if you can lay those things at his feet, you are literally a blank slate that God will fill with his power and his spirit, and he will use you in ways you cannot imagine. I guarantee you it'll be ways you can't imagine because we don't imagine the things that God does for us because he sees in us more ability than we do, and he also sees in us a path that we would never take for ourselves. It's that simple. If you trust him, he will lead you and guide you, not in the way you expect, but it'll be far better than anything you could have for yourself. Don't seek great things for yourself. Seek great things for God that let God's glory be shown in your life by your submission, by laying your expectations at his feet. And he will guide you. And you will be used greatly of God. There's no doubt of that. But it'll be for him, not for us. I hope this is a blessing to you. I hope it made sense. It's something very weighing heavily in my heart that I want to share with you. So, I won't tell you what the next one is. I was about to. I'll wait. I'll just surprise you next week. But again, I hope it's a blessing. Hope you're doing well, and we'll see you next time. God bless, and bye-bye.